much. Welcome for the next 1 hour or so. Let's inform you about what has been happening in the country. Serfine, welcome back.
I didn't see that coming, but thank you. Thank you and welcome also. Thank you for creating time to catch the latest on Sunday Express tonight. In that hour, we will also be engaging in a conversation around mental health, something that has gained momentum in the recent past. It is getting closer. I'm looking at some numbers here. 25% of persons seeking outpatient services and 40% of persons seeking inpatient services have been diagnosed to have a mental condition of some kind. I mean, it is just getting closer, and the money that we spend in mitigating and addressing mental health in our country, something needs to be done. Tonight I'll be engaging Dr. Alfred Gitonga. He's a mental health advocate working at the Division of Mental Health under the Ministry of Health concerning these numbers and what Kenya is doing to address the issue of mental health in our country in the course of this broadcast.
All right, let's have a look at the highlights. Tension is high in Loiwat area along the border of Baringo and Elgeyo-Marakwet counties following a banditry attack that left 8 people dead.
Political intrigues rock Azimio coalition as it accommodates the One Kenya Alliance on Monday.
And drought takes a heavy toll on livestock in Marsabit.
All right, and we begin our bulletin straight away. My name is Serfine Oma, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Byron Abuli.
And my name is John Jacob Kioria. And tension is high in Luluat along the border of Baringo and Elgeyo-Marakwet counties following a banditry attack which left 8 people dead, among them 2 pupils.
Elsewhere in Baringo South, an inspector of police was shot and injured after bandits attacked Nasukuro camp. The injured police officer is receiving treatment at a hospital in Nakuru.
Ben Chumbe has that report.
On Saturday, Pokot bandits attacked Loiwat area in the border of Baringo and Elgeyo-Marakwet counties, killing 8 people, among them 2 pupils who had gone to River Kioria to fetch water. A pupil sustained injuries during the attack and is receiving treatment.
Tukasikia mlia risasi na kuanzia hapo sasa watu wakaanza kukimbia, tukaanza kukimbia huko. Sasa kufika Kerio hapo tu mtoni tukafika watu wameuliwa.
Hiyo vita ilianza kitu kama saa 7:30 tukasikia. Na unajua jana ilikuwa siku ya soko ya Jebelion. Tuwakimbia huko. Tuwakuta watu wengine wamekufa na mmoja ni injured.
Mwili ya mtu mmoja tumepeleka paka Lodengo dispensary hapo, akaaka hapo. Na tumeshaweka jana mwili yake. Mwili alikuwa upande huu. So mwingine ameuliwa upande huu tena tumeweka hapo kwake. Alafu wale wawili wako upande wa Marakwet hatukupata hawa.
During the attack which happened on a market day, the bandits raided over 1,000 livestock ahead of a security meeting on Wednesday.
Tumekubaliana na county commissioners wa Elgeyo-Marakwet na Baringo waende wafanye mkutano pamoja ambaye wamepanga wiki hii. Kuanzia Jumatano watakuwa wamekutana huko sehemu za Kolowa wajadiliane pamoja na washikadau wengine. Lakini mpaka wakati huu tumesema hakuna yule ataweza kufikisha ng'ombe kwa mwingine. Hiyo ndio ile agizo tumepeana, tumekubaliana kama kamati ya usalama katika region, na hiyo tunataka ionekane imetekelezwa mara moja.
Tension remains high in the area, with residents linking the escalating fights along Kerio Valley to scrabble for limited resources caused by the ongoing drought in the region.
Sisi watu hapa sasa tumependa amani kabisa. Lakini chenye inatupeleka sasa tupatane na Marakwet ni maji. Hata hatungepatana kabisa.
Unajua area yetu hatuna mtoni kubwa. Tuko na mtoni moja inaitwa Kerio. Na hiyo mtoni ya Kerio ni pande ile ni Marakwet. Pande hii ni Wapokot.
Ile nyasi tunatumia ni ile kwa upande wa Kerio Valley huko. Hata tukienda huko tunaenda kupatana na Marakwet, wanatuua huko, watoto wanamalizwa huko, vijana tena waendi shule tena sababu imekuwa kiangazi.
Inatakiwa watu wawe na utaratibu ya kutengeneza kamati ya malisho ile tunasema party committees, wazee kutoka sehemu za Pokot na wazee kutoka sehemu za Marakwet wakiwa na machiefs wetu waweze kuketi na kuongea.
Elsewhere in Baringo South, an inspector of police was shot and injured after bandits attacked Nasukuro camp. The injured police officer is receiving treatment at a hospital in Nakuru. The latest attack is among a series of other attacks that have been experienced in the region. This despite constant assurance by the government that security will be restored in the area. Ben Chumba, Sunday Express.
Now, the entry of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka into the Azimio la Umoja appears to have raised political jitters in the coalition, owing to the demands made by the One Kenya Alliance.
Just a day to the Jubilee and ODM National Delegates Conventions, Kalonzo announced that their One Kenya Alliance will be joining Azimio, but maintained that OKA would field their own presidential candidate.
Gladys Mungai looks at the intrigues that engulf tomorrow's signing of a coalition agreement on OKA joining Azimio.
The Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga had all along been the favorite presidential candidate for Azimio.
Mimi ni candidate ya ODM katika kinyang'anyiro ya Azimio la Umoja. Na mimi niko uwanjani. Si mimi niko tayari? Si mimi niko tayari?
In an apparent acknowledgement of this fact, 6 political parties signed an agreement with Jubilee at KICC to negotiate on their behalf with ODM in the Azimio coalition.
What we are looking to do is to create a movement that delivers Kenya safely across the Rubicon to the other side.
On the other side of town, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka was also affirming the One Kenya Alliance's resolve to finally join Azimio, but without relinquishing the quest for presidency.
We are open to the formation of a grand coalition to be known as Azimio One Kenya Alliance. OKA principals who on Monday, the 28th February 2022, officially signed the coalition agreement as an affirmation of our commitment to seeing a just, inclusive, and prosperous nation. Thereafter, we shall deposit the coalition agreement with the registrar of political parties.
Wao kama OKA wako tayari kwa mazungumzo na mambo yatakuwa sawa.
The move may jolt the Azimio coalition drafters as regard to the terms under which they'll accommodate the new partner.
Sisi katika One Kenya Alliance tutawapatia kiongozi.
Na kila nyumba wako na jogo yao, si ndio? Wenyu muko nayo. Kwetu tuko nayo. Sisi kama wana OKA. What is important, ukituona sisi tuko hapa, ndio kwamba tumekubali that those who we can do business with are here.
Na mimi nashukuru wenzetu wa OKA ambao ni Wiper, ambao ni KANU na Jirongo. Jirongo yako saa ingine si inaitwaje? Jirongo, yeah? Na Naki ya Martha Karua, si ndio? Na wamesema wanataka kuungana with us as like-minded people, yeah? Na vile tunasema, hata kama wanasema pia wako na candidate, sisi wa Kenya ndio tutaamua kati ya wao wote. Haja ni tutoke na mtu mmoja ambaye atatuunganisha sisi wo.
Sunday's Kamukunji Azimio rally was also called off to pave way for high engagements ahead of the formalization of the agreement signing on Monday. Kalonzo had until recently been reluctant to working with ODM leader Raila Odinga, insisting on going all the way to the ballot for presidency, but attended the Jubilee National Delegates Conference that backed Raila's bid for presidency.
It even took us time to accept the name Azimio One Kenya Alliance. But we have to give and take. And I said, why are people blaming me, coming up with incredible headlines at the indecisive kingmaker?
As politicians grapple with this coalition-making intrigues, they have until March 26th deadline to deposit their coalition agreements with the register of political parties. For Sunday Express, I'm Gladys Mungai.
All right, staying with the political developments, the ouster of Deputy President William Ruto from the Jubilee Party was already an open secret.
Questions, however, linger on the fate of a position his position in government post his ouster. And while Jubilee Party loyalists are divided about the import of impeaching him as the second in command, his allies are, however, defiant, claiming the move will not hurt his chances.
All members of Jubilee Party that have openly promoted the policies and or ideologies of other political parties be deemed to have ceased to be members of Jubilee Party and be removed from the register of members of Jubilee Party.
This declaration Saturday by Jubilee Party delegates to sever ties with Deputy President William Ruto and his allies who are promoting the ideals of the UDA party was the hallmark of a much-awaited decision. The roster led to the Deputy President losing his Deputy Party Leader position, which was split into 4 positions.
The first Jubilee Party had 2 or more than 1 Deputy Party Leader. This one would not have grown horns. Yeah, because he would be having his taking as his equal.
Most of his allies have already lost positions in lucrative parliamentary committees. But is the worst yet to come?
I think it was a waste of time because we left the Jubilee Party 3 years ago. And if they will go ahead to implement what they are saying, that striking our names from the Jubilee Party, then that will be a blessing on our side.
Jubilee Party loyalists are, however, split on the need to escalate the onslaught against Ruto by removing him as Deputy President.
We have more important business to do. We never chased anyone away. They chased themselves away and went ahead in forming a party, a parallel party. They decided to be the opposition within government. Instead of supporting the president's agenda, they were busy criticizing everything.
Seeing that the elections are less than 6 months away, Ruto's allies insist his removal from office will not hurt his chances of succeeding President Uhuru Kenyatta.
If they bring an impeachment motion in the National Assembly to impeach William Ruto as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, we don't care. We will not fight it. We are busy setting our agenda to the Kenyans to form the next government.
Moving on, stakeholders in the media sector have underscored the need to safeguard the safety of journalists in the run-up to the 2022 general election.
According to the Association of Media Women in Kenya, Executive Director Judy Kioria, journalists face a myriad of security threats on the campaign trail, with female journalists being more at risk.
Sentiments echoed by Media Council of Kenya officer in charge of media training and development, Victor Bwire, who warned that stern action will be taken against any politician who interferes with the work of journalists. As political activities continue to gain momentum in the country ahead of the 2022 general election, stakeholders in the media sector are calling for measures to be put in place to safeguard the safety of journalists. Speaking in Machakos County during a 3-day capacity building workshop for female journalists on safety during elections, Association of Media Women in Kenya Executive Director Judy Kioria announced plans for a coordinated approach of safeguarding the safety of journalists.
We meet the journalists, we train them because sometimes, or not sometimes, all the times, security first begins with an individual. But at the same time, we also want to reach out to the editors. We also hope to reach out to the media owners for them to execute the decisions or to execute, or even at least hear what the journalists are saying the field is like, because a lot of times they don't see what is happening.
We have planned for trainings for female journalists, so it goes on even beyond the elections. One of the key things we are responding to is what we call the UN Plan of Action on the Safety of Journalists, which demands that organizations and countries need to ensure the safety of journalists so that they can promote access to information.
While warning that journalists who engage in partisan politics will be deregistered, Media Council of Kenya's officer in charge of media training and development, Victor Bwire, also warned of stern action which will be taken against any politician who interferes with the work of journalists.
Kuna wanasiasa fulani ama mirengo ya wanasiasa ama political parties ambao hawapatii waandishi wa habari nafasi ya kufanya kazi yao vile inatakikana. Wengine wamekuwa wakiwazomea, wengine wanawasukuma, wengine wanawakataza kuwapatia habari ama ile tu physical kuweza kuwadhulumu. Na ile baraza la vyombo vya habari lilionelea kwamba hii tatizo imeanza kuwa kubwa, na vile uchaguzi inakuja, unaona parties nyingi zinafanya primaries na nini, ikabidi baraza la vyombo vya habari liweze kuongea na wadau katika media, tuweze kuweka mawazo yetu pamoja, ni vipi tutaweka mikakati ya kuweza kuwa protect na kuensure kwamba waandishi wanafanya kazi katika mazingira ambayo ni mazuri.
Meanwhile, Ruiru Member of Parliament Simon Kingara has hinted at plans to ditch the Jubilee Party. Speaking at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church in Ruiru, Kiambu County, the legislator, who hopes to defend his seat in the upcoming polls, also called for political tolerance ahead of the 2022 general election.
Ombi langu ni wanasiasa wote na wafuasi wao waweze kudumisha amani na demokrasia idumu, ndio amani nayo ipate mwanya, kwa sababu bila demokrasia basi kutakuwa changamoto kubwa sana kuwa na amani. Ni vizuri kama vile kiongozi wa nchi alielekeza, watu waende kwa chama zile wanaona zinaweza kujimundu kwao hasa kisiasa, ndio waweze kupata viti vyao.
Former Member of Parliament Esther Kadhogo and nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura are among those who have expressed their intent to succeed Kingara.
Residents of Marsabit have continued to receive relief aid in the face of ongoing adverse effects of drought due to depressed rains in the region.
It is estimated that residents of North Hor, Dukana and Laisami sub-counties alone have lost over 80,000 heads of livestock due to drought and a storm that hit the region in January, with vulnerable groups staring at possible starvation.
Marsabit is one of the counties in Kenya that have suffered the effects of perennial drought. It is estimated that over 120,000 people have been affected, with the situation largely associated with depressed or failed rainfall in 2018 and 2019. Vulnerable groups such as lactating mothers, the elderly and people living with disability are worst affected.
Kama mimi ni blind person, sioni chochote na sijui mahali ya kwenda kuomba, na wakina mama wengine ni viwete wanakaa ndani ya manyumba, wanaumia katika hali hii ya ukamwe, na wengine ni maskini, hali hoya, hakuna hata mbuzi moja ama ng'ombe moja.
Those who are breastfeeding, mothers who are lactating, they are mostly affected. Pregnant mothers are mostly affected. Old age people are also mostly affected. Most of them are even unable to walk.
Unajua hata mimi ninanyonyesha mtoto. Kama haikuli mnyonyesha nini? Hakuna kitu, si ndio?
Nikisimama katika ndani mimi manyata, hakuna kitu, mbuzi kidogo tena natembea namna hii. Sina kosa hata kitu kukula.
Ile utapiamlo ambayo imeripotiwa katika kaunti yetu ya kwamba watoto ambao wako chini ya umri wa miaka 5, wakina mama ambao ni wajawazito ama wamezaa pia wako katika ile hali ambayo sio nzuri sana.
As residents face starvation in the region, livestock have not been spared either, and these have seen many households losing their sole source of livelihood.
Na juzi pia vile mvua ilinyesha na watu hawakutarajia, ilinyesha mvua mingi kwa muda mfupi, ilileta storm, hewa mbaya, na mali nyingi zilikufa. Zaidi ya 80,000 zilikufa hapa North Hor.
Nasikia kwa manyata wengine wamepoteza mbuzi kama 20,000 pale pengine, wengine nasema ng'ombe karibu 35,000 pale pengine imekwisha, ngamia ndio hiyo, hata punda imeanza kufa.
President Uhuru Kenyatta on Monday this week flagged off a consignment of assorted relief supplies to benefit 2.3 million vulnerable Kenyans in 23 counties.
This flagging ceremony I see as a ceremony of flagging off a caravan of hope, part of the many interventions that my government has undertaken when we declared the ongoing drought a national disaster, and we immediately began to put into place measures to cushion the affected populations.
Nancy Okwari, Sunday Express.
Time for us to take a fast breather on Sunday Express. But before we do, tonight our focus is on mental health, Serfine.
Indeed, we will be talking about mental health as just look at the numbers where we are as a country and, of course, what policies and strategies the government has put in place to address the mental health crisis in our country. I'll be talking to Dr. Alfred Gitonga from the Division of Mental Health under the Ministry of Health in just shortly. So do stay with us as we take this break. We still have quite a number of stories we have to run you through when we come back.
This week on Good Morning Kenya.
The health system in Siaya has improved greatly. Yes. Because previously, before we came in, even child mortality rate was very high.
Governor Kanel Rasanga has steered the county of Siaya for 10 years now.
Did you ever see at some point that the president and Honorable Raila Odinga would shake hands?
I never imagined it.
What is his opinion on national politics?
The way Uhuru has now come to support Raila for presidency, that is a very big mark. That is like rubbing out tribalism completely from in this country.
Join me this Wednesday on The Viewpoint at 7:30 a.m. on Good Morning Kenya, only on KBC Channel 1.
This is bad. This won't cover that amount.
Windsor, don't you know you're tearing my heart to pieces?
That's enough.
I can smell her perfume on you. Go take a shower.
You think I wanted this?
That's a lot of money. What's going on? I only want Windsor. I love him only. I will never ever love anyone else but him.
I'm so sorry, Pinky. I came here without bringing my own nightgown, so I borrowed yours.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now let's move this forward on matters environment. The United Nations Environment Program UNEP at 50 Conference on Environment Conservation kicks off at their headquarters in Gigiri, Nairobi on Monday with 193 member states represented.
Yes, focus is on strengthening UNEP for the implementation of the environmental dimension of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
2022 is a historic milestone for the global environmental community and the United Nations Environment Programme, as it marks 50 years since the 1972 Stockholm Conference that sparked the formation of environment ministries and agencies around the world to kickstart a host of new global agreements to collectively protect the environment. To commemorate this milestone, environment ministers and foreign dignitaries under UNEP gathered at City Park Sunday to plant 193 indigenous tree seedlings symbolizing the beginning of UNEP at 50. Environment and Forestry Cabinet Secretary Kioria welcomed the guests and called on them to continue spearheading conservation efforts in their states.
Destruction of environment in any part of the world affects all of us. And conversely, protection of environment in any part of the world benefits all of us.
Sentiments echoed by Chief Conservator of Forest Julius Kimau, who said that the government through the Kenya Forest Service is striving to restore the glory of City Park Forest where the trees were planted.
And I would say perhaps we call it UNEA at 50 corner. Perhaps. That will be a great milestone so that we are able to grow these trees, set it aside, but more so have a very solid long-term partnership with UNEP, but by extension, all the states.
We have now moved away from tree planting, because you see us a lot we'll take pictures here and go. But we have moved to tree growing, meaning we must take care of these trees going forward.
To mark UNEP's 50th anniversary, a year-long of activities and outreach events are taking place under the UNEP at 50 banner. This recognized the significant progress made on the global environment conservation matters and addressed the planetary challenges. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express.
It's time for the process now. And did you know that every bit of the coconut plant is useful? Hence why the coconut tree is otherwise referred to as the tree of life.
Tonight on the weekly feature, The Process, we focus on how coconut kernels can be processed into snacks.
After sourcing for coconuts from the market, a consignment of coconuts arrives here at the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, KIRDI. The coconuts are first cleaned with water. They're then put in an oven or dryer. They're then taken out of the dryer, where they are manually cracked open to remove or drain the fluid.
They crack the nut to remove the water because what they're interested in at the moment is only the fresh.
It is then required to separate the coconut shell from the coconut kernel, where after the separation, the coconut kernel is then immersed in water containing sodium metabisulfate to prevent the browning of the coconut during the drying process.
After cracking and removing the fresh from the shell, it's put in water that has SMS, that is sodium metabisulfate, to prevent the browning of the coconut during the drying.
From here, the flesh is traversed to the slicing machines, where the coconut kernels are sliced into thinner slices and put back into the oven, which has a capacity of 100 kgs to dry at a temperature of 65 degrees Celsius to reduce moisture content.
One is to reduce size reduction for easy drying. Two, also for client preference. They won't eat big chunks of coconut, but they want them into snack-like shapes. Then you put them into the dryer. We reduce the moisture content so that they don't start molding.
From here, the coconut bites are packaged and are now ready for distribution. Jackie Wambiru, The Process.
All right, The Process, a weekly feature that comes to you every Sunday right here on Sunday Express, just taking you into different worlds to know how different things work. Now, let's take this forward. The Kenya Broadcasting Corporation's Shoro FM, in collaboration with the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, pitched camp in Mount Kenya region, creating awareness on the hazards of counterfeit fertilizers, pesticides and seedlings in the country.
And as Betty Gatonyi reports, through interactive open forums, members of the public were enlightened on how to identify counterfeit products.
During the roadshow in the Mount Kenya region, Anti-Counterfeit Authority Acting CEO Frida Kaberia called on Kenyans to be wary of counterfeit agro inputs as they are a threat to health and safety.
We have seen a lot of counterfeit products coming in form of fertilizer, pesticides, other things like seeds. Mostly, you see, like in this region, there's a lot of horticulture, there's a lot of maize farming. So if the farmer doesn't get the right product, definitely the crop is going to have a crop failure.
The residents took the chance to learn, be alert, avoid and distinguish between fake and genuine agricultural farm inputs when practicing farming.
Kama kuna mtu akona tashwishi kuhusu zile bidhaa amenunua, tunaomba ushiriki na sisi, utupatie ujumbe ndio tutoe hawa counterfeiters from our midst. Tuko hapa kuwaeleza hii na kuhakikisha that mahali kote tunaenda, we are getting the right products in the market.
Na kwa mbegu utapata logo ambayo kuna kitu kama scratch card ambayo iko na logo kwa mbegu. Ukiscratch kuna namba hapo, ukitumia ujumbe wa SMS utume kwa nambari 1393. Ukituma hiyo namba na simu yako, ukitumia SMS service, itakupea ujumbe kama hiyo mbegu imethibitishwa ama haijathibitishwa.
Shoro FM and ACA toward Kenol, Sabasaba, Maragwa, Murang'a, Sagana, Kagio, Kutus, Samson Kona, Kagumo, Kerugoya, Karatina, Gatitu, Nyeri, Chaka, Narumoru, Endarasha, and Muiga towns. Shoro FM has a vast audience in Mount Kenya region, and many listeners seized the opportunity to interact with their favorite presenters and take part in the awareness campaign. Musicians from the Mount Kenya also participated in the roadshow. Murang'a Shoro's reporter Githuki Wanyokafi, Phyllis Mbudhia, including Shoro's Joy Wamasharia, entertained audiences with good music, mogithi, and gospel. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Sunday Express.
And now over 500 tea farmers in the Nyamache tea catchment area are set to benefit from an economic empowerment program spearheaded by the Kenya Tea and Development Agency, KTDA, on quality tea production and crop diversification in a bid to complement tea income to farmers in the region.
Speaking during the launch of a new financial inclusion program targeting 2,500 women and youth tea pluckers, Chief Executive Officer of KTDA Foundation, Sudi Matara, said the 1.5-year training will majorly focus on producing quality tea that can fetch high prices.
Going to complement the tea income from the diversification program, which our KTDA Holdings Board has put as a priority across KTDA.
We encourage all the tea farmers to continue this course and help together so that we're able to ensure that reforms are beneficial to the farmers.
We now have around 500 farmers who will be assisted to develop in other value chains other than the tea subsector, so that we increase the income that goes to the family household. We've had tea reforms in Kenya, and we've started now to see the fruits of those reforms.
Before we take a breather, some breaking news, obviously, in politics. Tomorrow, there was an expectation that the One Kenya Alliance would actually sign a deal with the Azimio la Umoja. And you had Kalonzo Musyoka speak yesterday, talk about Azimio One Kenya Alliance. Looks like that will not happen after all. The excuse is they need to bring more people on board. That is the One Kenya Alliance.
And they're saying they will push this to a later date that is yet to be announced. But of course, they're assuring the public and supporters that they will remain committed to the cause of justice and inclusive and a prosperous nation. All right, so that's just news just in from the One Kenya Alliance. Tomorrow, they were supposed to be officially, signing that coalition agreement to join Azimio la Umoja. But according to reports that we are receiving in our newsroom tonight, is that has been pushed to a later date.
All right, time for us to take a breather. Of course, when we come back, Imon is lined up for including that conversation on mental health. Don't go too far.
It's you that I love, and I love you with all of my heart. I only love you and nobody else. And I think that's what's most important right now.
You're going to stop right when I say so, and only then. And you know what? I want you to stop getting me in trouble with your son Julio.
What do you want? Why did you come?
Because I wanted to stop you from committing bigamy.
What?
Mariela is the most wonderful woman I've ever met in my life. Does that answer your question? Look, don't mess this up for us too. Not only have you abandoned your family, now you're turning your back? Lying heart.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Now time for sports. Kakamega Homeboys extended their lead at the top of the Kenya Premier League, log to 40 points after trouncing Bidco United 3-1 at Bukhungu Stadium. Yema Mwana scored the opener for Kakamega Homeboys in the 16th minute before David Okoth added the second in the 32nd minute. Homeboys scored the third goal in the 39th minute. Bidco scored the consolation goal in the 75th minute. In other matches, the AFC Leopards drew 0, or that is, it was a draw with Vihiga Bullets. Bandari held a Gor Mahia to a 1-1 draw. Atalanta FC lost 1-0 to Posta Rangers. Kakamega Homeboys, Nairobi City Stars, Tusker FC, Kariobangi Sharks and KCB are the top 5 teams on the log. And Kenyan Lioness Rally Team founder Lisa Christopherson has called on the Ministry of Sports to support the ladies' teams in Safari Rally, saying it will encourage more lady drivers to take part. Lisa also called on ladies interested to join the team to show up in numbers so as to prepare adequately for the upcoming World Rally Championships.
Speaking after the first training session at Kasarani Stadium, Kenya Lioness Rally founder Lisa Christopherson pointed out that the race in the country has been dominated by men, and now it's the high time for women to be more active in the sport.
And we're delighted to be here. We are an all-women's team rallying for hope, empowering women and supporting women in this society of ours, being the drivers in a very male-dominant sport.
Her words were echoed by the co-driver and KBC News anchor Pauline Shegu, who promised to sharpen her edge to showcase women's professionalism in the sport.
Lengo letu kuu ni kwamba tungependa kualika wanawake popote mlipo, mje mjiunge nasi ili tuweze kutimiza malengo haya. Madhumuni ya mashindano haya ya wanawake ya mashindano ya mbio za magari ni kuempower women, kuinua wanawake wenzetu. Tuache kukaa nyuma kusema kwamba haya mashindano ya magari ni ya wanaume peke yake. Tuko hapa kubadilisha hayo mawazo.
The team will take part in the first race on 26th of March as they prepare for the World Rally Championship later this year. Daniel Mwendwa, Sport.
Nairobi County Aquatic Association Chairperson Teddy Wamunyu says this year's Junior Swimming Championships will be used to prepare the junior team for the upcoming international assignments. Speaking during the Junior Swimming Gala at Makini School, Wamunyu also called on schools and colleges to register in large numbers for upcoming events. The Swimming Championships calendar will kick off on March 11th at Kasarani, followed by the Nairobi Sprints and Relay Championships on the March 19th. Tournaments will also be held to prepare a team that will represent Kenya in the Commonwealth Games.
I had targets to make better times and improve my body. Today's gala was pretty good, tough. I'm in the last heat, which is kind of tough, but I hold on to them, and which the older swimmers push me, and it actually makes my time to improve.
I've been cutting times here and there, but I need to train a bit harder to be able to cut even more time.
I felt happy that I won today. I'm feeling proud of myself.
There is leisure swimming and there is competitive swimming. Now, if you're going to have a competitive event in any sport you can think of, there should be some form of organization. And with us, we have levels of achievement. There's an entry point, and there's an what do you call it, the highest qualification. Level 3 is our Grand Prix.
Martin Achebe of Kenya retained his WBC Muay Thai Africa welter weight belt after defeating Matthias Bryan of Cape Verde on a 2-1 split decision during the Ultra Fight Series held Saturday night at the Bomas of Kenya. Achebe, buoyed by home supporters, started well in the 5 rounds contest, winning the first round, but his opponent recovered to floor him in second and third rounds, respectively. The Kenyan got back to the ring, charged to win the 4th and 5th rounds, and rewrote history as the first Kenyan to retain the WBC Muay Thai welterweight belt. However, it was a tough night for another Kenyan, Javan Buyu, who lost 1-2 split points decision to Salim Baye of Senegal. Boxers from France, Uganda, Cape Verde, Senegal, Morocco, Algeria, Sudan, and host Kenya took part in the one-night championship organized by World Boxing Council, Muay Thai Africa.
Mechi ilikuwa ngumu, manake amepigana na mtu mwenye ako na mechi 56 na Achebe ako na mechi 11 peke yake. Hili ndio lilikuwa lake la 12.
We've been training very hard, we've been working techniques, good scoring techniques, real Muay Thai, and it showed tonight. He won the belt, he defended his title. There you go, finished.
Kenya Netball Federation Chairperson Immaculate Kavudha says the Kenya Netball team can register good results if given a chance to take part of the Commonwealth Games. Speaking during the Kenya Netball Open tournament held at the Nyayo National Stadium, Kavudha also added that there will be an advantage to the team when they receive the new wooden floor. Let's have a look at the details.
As you can see, the turn-up is very good, and being the beginning of the year, you see, we believe that these teams will be far much better as we progress on. And thank you so much, Nok, for finding me fit to chair that commission. There's a lot to do on gender, and I believe the commission is equal to the task.
Of course, there's an ongoing match, the Carabao Cup final between Chelsea and Liverpool. The game is in extra time. It could as well go to penalties, We'll see how that goes and we'll update you in good time. But before then, the team of David Mambo, Andrew Ndolo, Sam Muraya and Tom Simba added a round of 107 points to emerge the overall winners of the 9th leg of the Johnny Walker Golf Series played at Achirng Country Club. Coming in second was the team comprising Mudhoni Muturi, Doreen Muredi, Jacinta Wambugu and Grace Gishoke, who scored a combined 105 points. Claiming the third position was the team of John Mururi, Stanley Nduati, James Kimondo and Steve Warohio, who returned a score of 104 points. Meanwhile, Trevor Kimani was the champion on the men's category, or Rebecca Juma scored 35 points to emerge the winner in the ladies category. Following the current event, attention now shifts to take that again. Following the conclusion of that event, now the attention has turned to Thika. The match will be played on March 12th. Time for us now to take a breather. When we come back, Serfine Achirng picks up this conversation of mental health and is speaking to Dr. Alfred Gitonga from the Ministry of Health. Don't miss that conversation.
We are still keen on Germany's DFB Pokal as the quarter-finals is around the corner. In football, it is easy to be intimidated by the top-flight teams, but as fate would have it, new entrants do sometimes turn the tables with their patience, perseverance and self-belief.
Borussia Dortmund are out of the competition. St. Pauli take all the spoils.
It is therefore a tight affair this Tuesday, 1st of March 2022 at 10:45 p.m. in a match-pitting Union Berlin against FC St. Pauli. Watch this spectacular duel live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC, your true sports partner.
All right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And now it's that time for us to kickstart our conversation on Sunday Express tonight. We focus on mental health, something that has really, formed debate in the country, especially looking at the numbers that are rising each and every day, Kenyans facing different forms of mental health issues. We are seeing on our reports being reported across the media, people are killing each other, intimate partner violence. We see people engaging in drug and substance abuse. These are just expressions of what is happening in the society and what needs to be done. And I want us to talk about the mental health crisis in the country. We look at the numbers and what we've been able to do as a country concerning this crisis. And I'll be engaging Dr. Alfred Gitonga is already in studio with me. Thank you so much, Daktari, for creating time for us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Daktari is a mental health advocate, but he also works in the Division of Mental Health under the Ministry of Health. And once again, we appreciate you creating time for us tonight. I just want us to begin by painting the picture of how bad this problem is in our country. Just recently, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, experts were concerned about how the pandemic actually led to, the surge in numbers that were already high before the pandemic. Can you just tell us, as we speak today, what is the status of mental health in our country?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, Serfine. We have figures that we have prompted before on the numbers of patients that experience mental health conditions. And in the hospitals, we have 25% of outpatients and 40% of inpatients expressing mental health conditions. Further to that, it has been proposed that 1% of the population of Kenya suffers from psychosis. That would amount to probably around 5 million individuals, and that is a very big number.
5 million?
Yes, 5 million individuals, if we go by the percentage that has been proposed by the studies. And according to the Global Health Observatory study by the World Health Organization, we have 10% prevalence of common mental health conditions in this republic.
When you say common mental health conditions, how common are they, and which are these conditions that you're talking about?
Okay, the conditions that have been touted as the common mental health conditions in Kenya are depression, substance use disorder, and anxiety disorders. Those are what the population suffer from the most.
I'm looking at, those grim statistics, and one thing that stands out for me is the fact that you've said these are conditions that have been diagnosed, and these are things that at least they've been reported at the hospital level. Talk to us about the lack of diagnosis. There could be many Kenyans who could be going through some form of mental health condition, and they do not even have an idea. Maybe you can talk to us about the lack of diagnosis and how this is also affecting the efforts to address this particular crisis.
Okay, we have persons that are known to be suffering silently in their homes because they are afraid of accessing mental health services because of the stigma associated with mental health. Part of the reason is because we have cultural leanings that mental health was touted as something that nobody wanted to talk about because the family would get stigmatized in the community. And most of the people in the communities do not front the people who have mental health conditions to the hospitals for treatment, and they are suffering in silence in the villages, and we'd like them to come to the hospitals to seek care.
All right, let's talk about what is leading to the surge in these numbers. These are not good numbers, if you may ask me. The COVID-19 was cited as one of the things that probably led to a sharp rise in the numbers of mental health disorders in our country. Could there be any other contributing factors that, from your perspective, would actually justify the surge in numbers?
Yes, please. So we have what we call the social determinants of mental health, and these are the factors that precipitate the occurrence of a mental disorder in an individual. And what I can mention for you right now are 6 factors, and leading amongst them is poverty. We know that a third of the Kenyan population live below the poverty line, and this predisposes them to developing conditions such as depression. Second is unemployment. Youth unemployment in this country stands at around 40%, and these unemployed youth are not able to access, provide for themselves, and this has been leading to distress and also precipitates the occurrence of mental disorders. Then we have what we call the disasters that happen from time to time within different regions of the country. What is most known are weather-based disasters, such as droughts, famine, and floods. People lose property in these conditions, and also that predisposes them to stress and the development of mental health conditions. Okay, we have things like substance use. Substance use has been known to precipitate mental health conditions. We have things like the youth participating in activities like gambling. Gambling in its own is a risk factor for developing mental health conditions. And those are some of the key determinants that cause people to develop mental health conditions.
Yes. The question that many people usually ask when, for instance, we receive reports of couples who've killed each other, maybe somebody has burnt the whole family in the house, is always why would somebody turn against their loved ones to that particular extent? As a psychiatrist, probably, just to take us through the mind of somebody who is a victim of a mental health disorder of some sort, what usually happens for a human being to get to that particular point?
Okay. Mental health conditions, by their very nature, have predisposing factors. And high among them is genetic predisposition, which you inherit from the genes that you get from your parents. And if you are predisposed, it affects the way your mind processes thought, emotions, and that is seen evidently by people, as you express it externally, as disturbed behavior. So that is usually the source of mental health conditions.
There's a lot that the government has done, especially it escalated during the COVID-19 pandemic when the head of state appointed a mental health task force that is chaired by Dr. Frank Jenga that was supposed to address this particular crisis. And I know also the Ministry of Health has undertaken quite a number of strategies to curb this particular crisis. Maybe you can take us through that and what has worked and what is left that we need to do as a country to mitigate this crisis.
Okay, thank you for that. So the Ministry of Health has been developing policy papers to try and mitigate the rising prevalence of mental health conditions in the country. And I will attempt to go through a few of the documents that the Ministry has been developing, as I also mentioned those that are under construction. So first amongst those is the Kenya Mental Health Policy, 2015 to 2030. This document sets the way forward for how the country will handle mental health conditions and discharge treatment and prevention activities in the foregoing years. And this policy led to the development of the Mental Health Action Plan. The Mental Health Action Plan is a 5-year strategic plan that operationalizes the key priority actions that have been set out in the policy. And as you have mentioned, there was a mental health task force that was inaugurated by His Excellency the President in the year 2019. And it was during his Madaraka Day speech that he decried the high prevalence of mental health conditions in the Republic and directed the Ministry of Health together with other line ministries to come together and find solutions so that the public can stop suffering. And he quoted depression as causing a lot of turmoil and distress to the public, as has been seen by some of the things that people do. We have seen cases of suicides, homicides, femicides, and other forms of mental disturbance expressed externally by the public. So the Task Force on Mental Health came up with this document called the Mental Health Task Force Report, after a series of memoranda reception and going around the nation collecting the views of the public, and came up with recommendations that would be used to, from then on to reduce the incidence and prevalence of mental health conditions in the country.
So just to take us through maybe 3 key recommendations, because we're trying to find a way, a solution. What is it that we need to do to seal this gap once and for all? What is it that the task force recommended?
Okay, one of the recommendations was the formation of a National Wellness and Happiness Commission that will be undertaking the National Mental Health Survey in the Republic and reporting on the happiness levels of the public. Number 2 was that they recommended that every 5 years that we have a review of the current situation of the policy documents, that we do a new action plan every 5 years after review. Those are 2 of the key recommendations. And there are many other rafts of measures that have been recommended by the task force that are being implemented as we speak.
When we see reports such as the examples I cited earlier, one would be tempted to ask, are these just beautiful policies on paper that are lying somewhere at the Ministry of Health? How come the impact is not felt on the ground? The numbers are not going down. What is the problem? What are the gaps that probably are there?
Okay, how I would approach that is by saying that evidence of policy will only accrue after a few years of implementation. But let me mention one before we proceed, which is the National Telemental Health Guidelines, that this has led to the construction of a telemental health center at the Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital that will be offering telemental health services to the public. And this is one of the key measures that we'll see us handle a lot of the incidences of mental health in the Republic.
So as we wait for the few years for this, the results of these policies and these strategic plans to come to reality, we are losing people, Daktari, and Kenyans are worried because of the numbers of our loved ones that we are losing to suicide, for example, and those who are killed in homicides. What do we do between now and then as we wait for the practicality of these documents?
Okay. What I can say is what the government is trying to do for the people. And as you know, the Constitution of Kenya sets aside the roles and responsibilities of the national government and those of the county government. So the national government, in meeting the high prevalence rate, has also trained mental health and psychosocial support teams in all the 47 counties with a mental health focal person. And those psychosocial teams have been trained in offering psychological first aid and basic counseling services. And now these services are available at the local level in all the counties. Further to that, under the UHC, there are psychologists who have been deployed to all the counties on a 3-year contract to provide an enhanced package of services for people in the counties. We also have community health volunteers that have been trained. So far, in the counties of Mombasa, Kitui, and Nakuru, 30 community health volunteers per county have been trained to offer services to the people in those regions.
Mm-hmm.
So the government is expanding access, and we also have the National Health Insurance Fund, which is offering medical cover so that people can now be able to access mental health without suffering financial difficulties.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. for creating time for us. As we come to a close on this conversation, I want you to look at this camera and just talk to that person who's watching you. What is their role as an individual in terms of taking care of their own mental health?
Okay, I'd like to tell the people of Kenya to take initiative, that your health is your responsibility. As it stands, the uptake of the NHIF cover by the general public is only at 16%, despite a lot of media campaigns advocating for people to get some insurance coverage so that it can protect you from adverse exposure should you need to access mental health services. Kindly take initiative for your own health. Number 2, a problem solved. A problem shared is a problem half solved. I would like to encourage people to share their problems so that you do not suffer in silence. And that will lead to a reduction in distress and probably get you to another day, because problems do not last forever. Please take initiative for your own health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Take initiative for your own health. That's your parting shot there. Dr. Alfred Gitonga is a mental health advocate, a consultant psychiatrist, working at the Division of Mental Health under the Ministry of Health, talking to us about the status of mental health in the country. And that is how we wrap it up right here on Sunday Express. Thank you for creating time to watch us tonight. My name is Serfine Achirng. Of course, I've not been doing this alone. On the other side of the studio, we have John Jacob Kioria. Kioria, it's now over to you. Thank you so much for watching once again tonight. Indeed, and I get a chance to say good night again. And thank you for watching once again. Mental health, very good. Take initiative. That's what Dr. says tonight.
We appreciate his coming to studio. Let's all keep safe. The game between Liverpool and Chelsea is going. It's bad and draw. Looks like it will go way into penalties, and we will notify you of the results tomorrow. But for now, it's a good night from me. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. My name is John Kioria.
get Romans chapter 10 as your skiza tune on your phone, dial star 811 star 962 hash.
If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans chapter 10 verse 9.
To get Romans chapter 10, dial star 811 star 962 hash. Star 811 star 962 hash.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
It's you that I love, and I love you with all of my heart. I only love you and nobody else. And I think